Good evening, family. Yeah, I am swanked out in my robe. One thing I like to do when I get home after work is just strip down and just wear this because it's just so comfy. I don't do snuggies. This is what I do. So, as the title of my video indicates, I'm going to still be talking about unemployment, but with a different perspective. I wanted to address this because I spoke with a lot of my college buddies who've gone on to graduate school, various different, disciplines, from medicine to masters and even law programs like I did. And I guess the overall consensus is the same. Also, you can find this information online too. You can look on YouTube and Google information about this particular topic. But yes, this is an on the couch series because I just want to have a sit down with you all, especially for I guess older individuals who may not understand what the new millennials. I guess I'm a part of the millennial. I'm on the cusp of Generation X/millennial because I was born in the '80s, so I don't know. But yeah, without further ado, Generation Unemployment is what I wanted to call this video because that's what it feels like from those who graduated with me from college back in '08 moving forward. We have experienced a different type of job market, different type of, conditions that kind of plays on our sensibilities about whether we made the right decision to pursue higher education. And I will just start off with some facts here. Youth, or I would want to say youth, young adults between the ages of 18 and 24 or 5, I believe studies have shown that we have an unemployment rate that is almost nearly double the national unemployment rate, so around 16, 17%. There are a lot of factors that go into why we are unemployed, but they also broke it down by education. Those without a GED or high school diploma had higher rates than those who had a college degree, but it was also broken down by degree type too. Those with a bachelor's degrees in, like, say, liberal arts, your English, math, history, psychology, like myself, sociology, a lot of the liberal arts majors, if they didn't continue on to graduate school, they have faced unemployment and underemployment. And underemployment is when you take a job that is lower paying and you can be considered overqualified based on your education, not necessarily based on experience, or maybe even experience level. If you was able to gain some real world work experience during your collegiate career, then your experience may overqualify you for that job. So, did a little random survey of all of my friends, and a lot of them are in a situation like this. They have either had to take lower paying jobs to support themselves, and when I say lower paying, it can be temp work, part time. It can range from retail, like what I did, restaurant service, bartending, whatever, what have you. Things that don't really require a degree. They've had to take those type of positions. They've also had to take a lot of positions outside of the field that they studied. And that was very frustrating for them because they said they spent all this time and money and energy, you know, preparing themselves to enter the workforce, to work in the discipline that they studied for, that they paid for. And unfortunately, the jobs are just not there. I actually had a conversation with a coworker, because she and I are in a similar boat when it came to this whole job market situation. And she was just sharing with me her experience. She's, definitely very, say very young, but between the ages of, I say 27, 29, just got married. And she had been doing internships since 2008, some paid and unpaid, just to keep up her experience and also to be able to support herself a little bit. Now that she's married and her husband is getting his certifications for IT, so he had to get like an A++ certification and stuff like that. Like he has the credentials, but he's also struggling finding jobs because I think he didn't have the certifications that he needed. He has the experience and the education, but no certification. So, and we were also talking about different um, issues regarding unemployment, like why are we unemployed or underemployed? What are there any things that we are doing that is exacerbating the situation? Some complaints that I've heard from older workers was that the younger generation, we don't take jobs that we feel that we are quote unquote overqualified for because like I said, we spend all this time and money and energy studying a certain discipline. And why should we? I understand that aspect of it. But on the flip side, I also understand that you need to survive. Normally, graduates from college and graduate schools, if they didn't have a full-time or a part-time position, some type of position, earning some type of income while it was in school, um, if they lose that position, they are able to qualify for unemployment. But for the rest of us who might have just gone to school, didn't really have to work, maybe just worked on the breaks, but no continuous history of work experience, upon graduation, if we don't have a job offer, we end up, not being able to get unemployment either. Another thing that I notice a lot of that I see with, I guess, my colleagues is that a lot of them have had to move back home. Now, that was a huge blow to their confidence and self esteem. And it would be for me too, because, my whole thing when I was in Georgia was to not move back home. I did not want to move home and do that. I wanted to, do what I needed to do to try to become as self sufficient as possible. I made it. I said I left my home 7, 8 years ago when I was 18, and I intended on being on my own from here on out. Now I'm glad that my mother's home is an option for me. It's available for me, but I'm starting to see, a lot of my friends have had to move home, and even while at home, they've experienced a very brutal job market. It's just not easy for nobody right now. It's not easy, and a lot of older workers have to keep their jobs. They have been forced to keep their jobs due to the economic conditions. They may have lost savings, they probably lost homes, whole just everything from the economic crash years ago. So now it's necessary for them to continue to work. Not so what that would do is not trickle any jobs down for people moving up, like the younger generations. Let me get this pizza real quick before it burns because I smell it and I don't want it to burn. So y'all hold on one second. Okay, so yeah, so a lot of a lot of people in the older generations, the baby boomers, or even some of our parents, because I know some people parents that's like who if they're at my age, their parents are like in their 70s. I'm like, God damn. Like I was like, Lord, that's you got some old ass. Anyway, but yeah, they have not been able to retire for whatever reason. So those positions are not being afforded to us. We also have to look at the economic conditions too. Outsourcing of job. Why can't I speak? I can't articulate myself today. Outsourcing of jobs to Europe, Asia, India. I don't even think I have to go into detail about that, but we see a lot of that going on. We see a lot of companies restructuring their hiring practices, and some companies have been on a hiring freeze for like years now. They, if they bring anybody on, it's either for temp work or part-time work, so they're not hiring full-time employees. And a lot of entry-level jobs now require experience. Like I've been on the job boards like Monster, Career Builder, Craigslist, Idealist. Um, every temp agency that I sent my resume to, they couldn't find me nothing. Like I've had friends that at least got a temp job. I couldn't even get a temp job. And I've felt like a lot of that had to do with the way my resume was structured, which I'm gonna go into in a minute. But yeah, a lot of entry level jobs now are saying that they want at least 1 to 2 years of experience. So employers are not going to put in the resources to train you. They kind of want you to be ready to go when they hire you. That's another stumbling block for the new graduates, because we go to school and we just study just 24/7. We're not working unless we're paying our way through school. And even then, if you're working, you're not working in the field that you are studying in. So that experience don't count. So it's just a very frustrating situation. Studies have said that upon graduation, your first job, whether you're working in, it doesn't matter where you're working, whatever that job is, will set the trajectory for your career path for the next 5 to 10 years. That is scary. Because what that means is, say, if I, continued into retail, because that's the only job I can get at this point, that would mean that my potential salary and wages that I could have acquired over the next 10 years would be decreased. I would lose out on, for over maybe the next 30 years, lose out of $100,000 that I could have been making, working in a field that I am qualified for. Lower wages, kind of sets the tone for your career path. So that's very scary. So if you don't get in the field that you want to get into, that you studied to get into, or it's almost as if whatever low paying or whatever job that you take to pay the bills, that will remain your job no matter what your degree says, what your resume says. Because what happens is, let's say 5 years out after you graduate, if you still find yourself in retail, you really not going to be able to get a job, say, in as a social worker, if you majored in social work, because you don't have any history. You don't have any. But then the 5 years, employers are going to look at your resume and say, so this will be you graduated 5 years ago, but yet you don't have any experience in social work. It's a catch-22. It's not fair. A lot of employers are trying to hold on to their jobs. So if they see someone come in with the credentials that may be a little bit more than them, they will discriminate against the younger generation. The younger generation, we are overeducated. We have taken every advantage. We have gone to school, took out loans, and we've done everything because we were told upon graduation, as long as you did what you're supposed to do, you will be able to find employment and you'll be able to sustain yourself and be able to pay off these loans that you had to borrow. That's not the case anymore. It's very scary. In terms of resumes, taking stuff off your resume and dumbing it down to the bare minimum. That's what I noticed. A lot of employers won't even pull your resume unless it's like bare bones, bare minimum. They don't want to pay you what you're worth. That's a problem for the generation unemployed, because, like I said, the wages that you start to make after you graduate, it kind of keeps you on that trajectory and you will continue on in that direction. So it can suppress your wages for up to 5 to 10 years later, because you're in that particular industry. So if you're not able to get in the discipline that you study for, that's going to determine your wages. And that really sucks. It's like, why did we go to college and grad school, law school, whatever, just to flip burgers or to work maintenance? And I understand, because you have to do what you have to do to survive. But I don't know what the powers that be, whether that means Congress or state legislatures, I don't know what they are doing to protect the younger generation. There's a saying that goes, the future is borrowed by us, and we borrow it from our children. And it kind of makes me upset, because it makes me feel like our parents' generation and then their generation, their parents' generation, didn't do right by us. We don't have anything to pass down to our children. It has me even thinking whether or not I'll even want to, bring a child in this world, because what am I bringing them into? if they, graduate from high school and won't have job opportunities, graduate from college, still won't have job opportunities. It's like, what would they, how would they be able to survive in this new world that we are living in? Generation Unemployed, we have outstanding loans. The loans that we have is crushing, you know, and a lot of the problems with the loans is that they don't have consumer protections built into them. Now, especially the government love loaning us money, loaning. They'll give us as much money as we want. We can keep going back to school and getting all these degrees and stuff. But the problem is, for some of the loans or most of the student loans, they're not dischargeable in bankruptcy. So if you later on down the line, if you're finding yourself in a situation where you're not able to manage your bills and especially your student loan payments, if you wanted to file bankruptcy, guess what? Those student loans follow you to the grave. They actually follow you to your next generation. Like when you in your grave dead and gone, those loans will haunt your kids. It's serious, you guys. I am over 200 in the hole. So if anybody has any credibility to speak on this, it's me. Because guess what? I'm living this shit. I got over 200 grand in the hole. 30 years out, I would have owed $500,000. Am I going to make $500,000 in my lifetime? I mean, let's be real. So it's just, it's frightening. It's scary. And a lot of my, they may not even admit it, because it's a pride thing. You go to school and you think you did everything you're supposed to do, and to learn that you're not going to be able to work in the field. I have homegirls that got masters in teaching, can't teach. I got a homegirl over here that, she got a master's in social work, can't find a job in social work. The only people that seems to be, faring well are the ones who went to med school, and, that comes with a cost too. It's very hard to get in that program. Not everybody can be doctors, nor do we want everybody to be doctors. So, it's just one of those things where the lessons that I've learned from, trying to make it in this market, one thing I see, do not go back to school unless you have a concrete plan and you have thoroughly researched the industry or the degree that you are planning on pursuing. A lot of people seek refuge by going back to school. Well, I'm going to get another master's. Well, let me get something higher. Make sure your degree is in demand. Make sure the skill sets that you're trying to study for is in demand. I think nowadays experience crushes degrees. Experience is what employers are looking for. Because like I said, why? They're not training us. They're not putting money to train us, in any type of field. They want us to be ready-made. We got to compete with experienced professionals who were laid off 3 years ago, who may have 5, 10, 15 years experience. That's the real. It's not fair. We're not just competing amongst each other. We're competing against all these other people that was before us. It's a very brutal market for us. And I just hope that things, do work themselves out in the future. But, the only thing I can say is to keep on plugging into whatever you study for. Definitely keep plugging in, keep networking, keep searching, keep applying, keep re-strategizing how you're going to approach, your application for a particular job. More than ever, it's all about who you know. All about who you know. It's like almost paramount. That's the only way, because a lot of these companies want you to apply online. It's almost like throwing your hand. It's almost like you're anonymous and you're throwing your name in a big hat with thousands of other people. So they don't have a sophisticated way of choosing who they're going to interview. They're gonna, especially if your resume doesn't have key bullet points, they're not going to look at your resume and say, oh, even though it's not an exact fit, she will be a great fit because she has this background and she has these transferable skills. No. They can be as extremely picky as they want to be. It's picky to the point where they can easily discriminate against applicants in the application process. Easy. Anything this is an employer's market. They can be as choosy as they want to be. There are people who are in jobs right now, like some of my friends, and they will ask me, well, I'm thinking about going to law school. And y'all probably already know how I feel about that. I always like, hey, now, I don't think it's a good idea right now. But But at the same time, I always ask them why. Ask yourself, why are you going for this degree? Because if they say, well, I don't like my job and I want to try something, no, this is not a try something new type of market we're in. You got to get in where you can fit in. And everything that you do from here on out has to make financial sense. You have to sit down and actually think hard about how you're going to go about maneuvering in this market. You have to be extremely flexible. Yes, you got to take low paying jobs. I have to tell some of my friends, y'all going to have to get over that. I mean, if you lucky enough to have parents that's going to keep financially supporting you and you're living at home and you can, say, nah, I'm not going to work that. I'm just going to wait until my job comes. You're going to be missing 6 months to a year of work experience. You need something. Because when you go into an interview, you got to be able to justify what you have been doing with your time. You can't have any breaks in your work history. It has to make sense. It's cruel, but that's the way the world is for us. Um, I don't think, like I said, I don't think our parents' generation, the powers that be, really understand what they have done for us. They have created a disastrous situation for us. And it's just terrible. I mean, people don't want to call it what it is. We are in a depression right now. The recession happened in 2008. 2012, we are in a depression. People want to say job growth, oh, we getting new jobs, but do you all wonder which industries are getting new jobs? We have the construction industry. We got, what's the other industry? They're trying to revamp the auto industry, but what about the rest of us? The ones that went to college, the ones that studied for health and human services, the one that study IT systems. What about us? Where's our jobs? And then if you notice the amount of jobs they add each month is like maybe 80,000 jobs all across America. That's the best you can do. Y'all want to say that, well, and jobs are increasing. Okay, there's like 15 million Americans who are unemployed. 17 to 20% of that is between the ages of 18 and 25, 26. Let's be real. 80,000 jobs ain't touching shit. It's not even making a dent in what we need to do to get people back to work. Work ethic, work morale. People say, well, there are plenty of jobs out there, but people are not taking them. To a certain extent, that is, true. But at the same time, it's not the whole story. I even heard stuff saying where people said, well, the new millennials, they don't have good work ethic. They believe when they get off at 5, they're supposed to be getting off right at 5, no matter whether or not their job is done. And to some degree, that does have some truth to it. We're an automatic generation. We are instant gratification. Whose fault was that? Let me stop playing. But but seriously, when it comes to certain things, yeah, we share some responsibility for, some of the softer issues, because I want to say softer issues, but the harder issues where there are no jobs, they're not hiring. How is that on us? Oh, you didn't choose the right major, or you didn't think this through, you didn't plan this through. But yet we go to college, we talk to career counselors, we talk to professors, we talk to everybody. We have mentors, and we, take internships for free, which I think is another fucked up thing, because I've had people who probably interned at the same place all throughout college, and guess what? They didn't get a job offer. What the fuck is that? Indentured servitude. That is slavery. Isn't that unconstitutional? Can somebody check that for me? Like, for real. Like, what is the incentive of having people work for a company for free and they not offer nothing back to them? What is that? What is that? That is a messed up model. And a lot of people have to, even me, I'm going to look for some free internships where I can keep up my legal skills, because I cannot have any breaks. So if I decide that I want to work in a legal capacity later on in life, I can say, well, here, this is what I've been doing, to keep up my legal skills. I've been working for this firm or this government agency or this have you, and this is the type of things that I've been doing. Took the bar on this date. Something. I have to bring something to the table. I already know that moving forward, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people who are currently looking for jobs in their field, they need to keep up their skill sets and just ride it out until, because I honestly believe it will get better, but it's going to take a long time. They're not trying to tell us the hard numbers, but I think we're going to be 10 years out before we see a substantial improvement. Let's just be real. We are not in a recession. We are in a depression. Just like the Great Depression during World War II or One, whichever one, somebody check that for me. That's where we are right now. It's no different. Actually, in fact, there are more unemployed young workers now than it was then. Check the numbers, because I did. It's serious, you guys. Overeducated, underemployed. Generation Unemployed. Y'all leave me some comments. Let me know what you think. If you are a part of Generation Unemployed, let me know your experiences. I actually want to see some video responses. I want to dialogue with some, people who are, in different fields, and tell me what it is that you have had to do since you graduated. What have you done? What are you doing to try to, keep, I guess your options open as best as you can. And let me know if you agree or disagree with what I had to say with this video, because, this is a serious topic. I think more young people need to be talking about it, because it's directly affecting us. So I'm gonna go and get comfy again in this nice. See, my guy got me this. I was like, oh, this is so nice. It's so comfy, you guys. Like, fuck a Snuggie. But anyway, y'all stay real, stay blessed, and yeah, Generation Unemployed. Holla at me.